Hello and what is up? Today I thought I would give some advice, but today, if you've seen the title of the video, I want to give you some tips on picking a wedding venue. So if you didn't know, I am a event planner type person, I guess. More music based events, like I can put on gigs, hit me up if you want. So weddings isn't really my thing, but you know, I've been doing events for the past 10 years, so I kind of get the gist of event planning. Wedding planning has been a little bit more tricky, and was cocky at the beginning basically. But if you didn't know, I'm engaged. We are planning on having a wedding next year, and I believe we've picked our venue. We're still trying to decide what kind of wedding we want to go for, but if you'd like to know more about that, I will make another video on our wedding plans for the future. But today's video is tips on picking a venue. I have a list. These aren't going to be in any particular order. These are just my tips and my advice. You might have different ones. If you have any other advice or tips, write it down below. Let's get on with it. So my tip number one would be get your guest list. Figure out who you're bringing or want to invite and write it down. Figure out your numbers, because whenever you go to a venue, they will always ask you how many guests you're going to have. If you don't know the number, that's fine, but it can be quite nice to know how many guests you're planning on having, so then it'll make it easier for you to decide what kind of venue size you need. So I would 100% have your guest list semi-figured out, rough numbers. You don't need solid numbers right at the beginning, but figure out how many roughly you want to have at your wedding. Yeah, guest list. Figure it out. I didn't do this stupidly. Oh, I kind of did. We kind of had a rough number, but not like a solid number. And then when people kept asking us when we were going to visit venues how many we were going to have, I kind of wrote down a more accurate list of the kind of numbers, and that made it a bit easier going, that venue will be far too big, that venue will be far too small. Guest list is key. Tip number two, your budget. Now, I know I said these tips sound very obvious, but I would 100% roughly, again, right at the beginning, it kind of just needs to be a rough number. If you want to have a solid number, good, probably better, but if you don't have a solid number, a rough number of your budget, and try and stay to your budget, because I mean that's the point of a budget, but work out what your budget is and how much you'll be willing to spend on a venue. I don't have a huge budget, but also I don't really, even if I did have a bigger budget, I don't really want to spend a lot of money on my venue. I'm not interested in having like a really bougie wedding or a really expensive fancy wedding, so my budget for my wedding is quite minimal, but that's just me. You might want to spend a lot of money in your wedding venue, you might not, but work out what your budget is and then also work out what you'd be willing to spend on a venue and whether that's important to you, spending a bigger amount or a small amount on your wedding. Picking a budget is also key because it helps you work out what kind of range to be looking in. Budget. What I'd also say is that if a venue has specific wedding section on their website or whatever, then they will be charging more because they know that they'll get more money for a wedding. So if you just bear in mind that if you are looking for a venue that is specifically for a wedding and has specifically written like wedding stuff on their venues brochure, website, whatever, they will probably charge more. If you don't want to spend a lot of money and your budget is quite tight, I would look outside the box and look for venues that don't specifically say that they do weddings, and just email them and see, because they will probably be cheaper because they aren't specifically for a wedding purpose. So if your budget is quite small, I would do that. If not, you're sorted. Budget, write it down, have an idea of what it would be. Tip number three is keep an open mind. Now what I mean by this is go and visit venues, the one that you love and you know you'll probably want, but also go and visit venues that maybe you hadn't thought of before, or you're like, not really my taste, go and visit them anyway and go and check them out anyway, because you never actually know. It's like buying a house. You should go and visit houses when you're buying a house that you know or you think you really want, and then also go and visit houses that you think probably aren't quite your style, because you'll learn stuff from both sides. So you might go to a venue that, say you want a really grand house for your wedding venue, go and visit those grand houses, but then also go and visit barn conversions or something, because you'll learn something. Even if you go and you're like, yeah, I was right, barn conversions is not what I want for my wedding venue, you'll still learn something from going there of what you want and what you don't want, and maybe what you want more. You might also completely change your mind. You might be like, actually, you know what, a barn conversion is what I want and a stately home isn't what I want anymore. 100% go and visit different ranges of venues and different price ranges. Even if, I know this kind of contradicts what I was saying beforehand, but even if the venue is out of your budget, go and visit it, because again, you'll learn what you want and what you don't want, and what your priorities are for a wedding venue, I guess. We did this, we went to see some, sorry about the lighting by the way, sun keeps going in and out. We went to see some venues that we both want, like a more of an outdoorsy wedding, right? That's kind of what we want. We were thinking of barn conversion first, but barn conversion weddings have been so popularised, they've become very expensive, and we wanted a more of an outdoorsy feel wedding. But we did go and also visit some border halls, slightly more fancy places, but me and Greg aren't very fancy people. But I did learn from going and seeing them places what is more important to me, and what actually, okay, that's not really my kind of thing, but I really like that kind of thing. So maybe if I go to another venue and find a venue that has that kind of thing, I can, you know, so it kind of teaches you what you kind of like and what you kind of don't like. And even if you see something in a venue that you're not going to go for in the end, and in general you don't like it, there might be points of that venue that you like, and that you'll be like, okay, I'll look for that in another venue. Do you get what I mean? Does that make sense? Basically, go and visit a variety of different things, even if it's not what you think you need or want. Go and visit them, it'll help you, and it might even change your mind. Treat it like house viewings, basically. Tip number 4 is your personality. Your personality and your partner's personality will help with what kind of venue you should be picking, and kind of what you should be thinking for a venue. Like, me and Greg aren't religious people, so we're not going to be having a religious ceremony, so we don't need a church, for example. We're also not fancy people, we don't really like attention on us, and we are quite casual people, so we didn't want a big stately home. Like I've said, we didn't want a 3-course meal, we don't want to be waited on hand and foot, basically. We want something very casual, something very laid back, something a bit more rustic, and that's why we wanted like an outdoor wedding. Why we wanted something that was kind of all in one place as well, because obviously you can have the ceremony in one place and the reception in another, or the wedding breakfast or whatever. You can have that in 2 separate venues or whatever, but we kind of wanted everything in one venue. That is also something you've got to think about. So your personality and the type of people that you are kind of will help you pick the wedding venue. Like, if you are a very outgoing person, I mean, I guess it depends what kind of wedding you want, and then also what suits your personality. Yeah, so think about that, and think about like your themes and stuff as well, and what makes you comfortable. That will also help you pick your wedding venue, and how you want to style out your wedding venue as well. So think about your personalities, that will help. Tip number 5 is non-negotiables. Non-negotiables, write down a list of non-negotiables for you, stuff that you're like, this has to happen and this is what I really want, because then when you pass it on to the venue or your wedding planner or whoever, you're like, okay, this is what I want. Because if you don't go, okay, no, this is what I want, it might not happen. Stuff that you are like, I have to have this at my wedding, make sure you make that very clear to the venue, because then they might help you work out if they can supply that, and if they can do that for you. And if they can't, then, and it is a non-negotiable for you, then you might have to just change venue completely. Work out what your non-negotiables are very quickly and quite early on, and that'll help you pick your venue as well. And it also might help your venue. I'm trying to think of what my non-negotiables were. I've worked out that my non-negotiable place thing is an outdoor space. An outdoor space is something I really want. I don't really want an enclosed space. So I guess an outdoor space was very non-negotiable for me. I would have changed my mind, I suppose, if I found a really amazing venue that didn't have an outdoor space. But everywhere I looked, I was just more concerned about outdoor space. I guess outdoor space is non-negotiable for me. But I am very open to compromise, and that's also something you should probably think about, compromise. Just work out what your non-negotiables are. Maybe write it down, talk about it with your partner, work out what their non-negotiables are, and that will help you pick a venue, because some venues have their set things and they don't really let you deviate from that. Some venues are a lot more open, so if you have your non-negotiables and you tell your venue or the venue you're looking at, this is what I really want, can you provide this? And if they go yes, then sorted. If they go no, then at least you know, to keep looking. And yeah, but I'd also, as well as non-negotiables, I'd also learn that you got to kind of compromise a bit as well. But I think that's why you should have non-negotiables, so you're not compromising some things that you really don't want to compromise, but you got to make that clear to everybody right from the get-go, or it might not happen. So that is my 5 general tips. I hope that helped in some way. If you'd like any more videos on picking venues or wedding stuff, let me know. Or any event stuff in general, let me know, because again, I got like 10 years experience in this kind of stuff. So if you want my help or you want me to make any videos on anything, let me know and I will do that. I hope this helped and you enjoyed. I'm going to leave some links down below for some other good links for websites that have good tips. I'll leave them down below as well, so you can go and check them out too. And I will see you next week. Bye bye. I'm getting a blowjob.